The United Nations keep increasing the pressure on Mali. They don't really like what is going on in Mali.
The United Nations has recently issued a stern warning to Mali's military leader, expressing their deep concern over the recent decree that suspends the activities of political parties and civic associations. The UN has emphasized that an open and pluralistic civic space is crucial for the promotion of human rights, peace and security, and sustainable development. The organization has called for the immediate repeal of this decree as it poses a significant threat to the democratic principles and fundamental freedoms that are essential for the progress and well-being of any society.
Let me just give you a brief overview of what's going on in Mali. Mali is the confederal head of the Alliance of Sahel. The president of the Alliance of Sahel presently is the president of Mali, Assimi Goïta. And now, what problem does the United Nations have with Mali? First of all, I'm going to give you what I think, in my own opinion, could be the problem. Mali does not owe anybody. Mali is not borrowing from IMF. They don't borrow from World Bank. These people have chosen to internally, be on their own. They didn't borrow money from IMF. The money that the politicians borrowed from IMF, the military government of Assimi Goïta has paid back the debt. And because they have paid back the debt, the world is angry. Because let me tell you something, to keep you under the whims and caprices of the Western control, you have to borrow from IMF and you have to keep borrowing and keep borrowing. You don't pay the loan. You don't completely pay the loan so that they can have free access to your country, to your minerals, to your resources, maybe a little bit jiggle the whole cup and sow some terrorism right into your country so that everything can go haywire. But the president of Mali, together with other president of AES, has said that we don't need help from you people. We know what we need, and we are capable of doing it. First of all, how did the United Nations start peddling into the issue of Mali? The first thing they did was to file a human rights complaint against the Malian government for unaliving terrorists, right? For unaliving terrorists. I don't know when terrorists begin to have human rights. They said that the human rights of these terrorists were violated by the Malian government. They said there was summary disappearance, and they said the killing of the terrorists in Mali, that it looked like a decimation job, that it was actually inhumane and all of that. That's the first thing. My question is, when did we start defending terrorists? You see, maybe they are trying to justify the fact that Donald Trump was is actually currently affiliated with a notorious terrorist who his picture is here, a wanted man who is now dining and whining with the president of the United States of America. Maybe that is why they are beginning to defend the right of terrorists. Secondly, we all knew, if you have been following this channel, we once posted it, that 11 politicians, ex-politicians, including the former president of Mali, was arrested. Now, the arrest of the former president, was different from these 11 politicians that stole the sum of 80 billion CFA franc. And what did Assimi Goïta say to it? Assimi Goïta said that they have to pay every bit of that money back, and he sent them to jail. Guess what the United Nations did? They said there is a sort of summary disappearance, that is putting pressure on the politicians. He is trying to denigrate their rights and all of that. There has been a lot of nonsense that they have been saying.
As previously mentioned, the military junta in Mali, led by Colonel Assimi Goïta, has implemented a prohibition on all political activities within the country until further notice. This action has been taken under the pretext of concerns regarding public order. Nevertheless, despite this ban, over 80 political parties and civil groups have come together to demand that presidential elections be resumed without delay, and that military rule be brought to an end. This joint statement, signed by more than 20 organizations, includes a prominent opposition coalition in the party of the former president, who was ousted in the coup. The statement declares that all legal and legitimate means will be employed to restore normal constitutional order in Mali. Mali's spokesperson, Colonel Abdoulaye Maïga, recently addressed the nation concerning the government's decision to impose a ban on all political parties. According to Colonel Maga, the decree that has been issued is a police measure aimed at preserving the general interest of Mali. He emphasized that the ban is not targeted at any specific political party or association, but is an impersonal measure motivated by several reasons. Colonel Mega identified political and security reasons as the main drivers behind the government's decision to impose the ban. He reminded the public that on December 31st, 2023, the president of the chief transition of the state, Colonel Asmingeta, had called for direct inter-Malayan dialogue to involve the entire Malian people. Unfortunately, the consequences of this initiative led to events that necessitated the government's decision to put an end to the Algerian agreement on January 25th, 2024.
But my question is, there is stealing in all the democratic country. We know that for sure. All the democratic country in Africa, maybe except Ghana and some countries, I don't know, just a few of them, but majority, these guys are swimming in corrupt wealth. These guys are bathing in corrupt wealth. Guess what? Their children don't even live in Africa, but they want to make life difficult for people that are in Africa. Matter of fact, I think politics should be banned in Africa completely. You see, this thing of this talk of I'm a politician is a crime. You can't really tell me that there is anything reasonable that a politician contributes to nation development. Look at it in the real sense of it. They don't defend the look, you see, but this old president, senate, house of rep, house of assembly, this one, local government, this is all trash. These were part of the product of colonialism, stealing our own identity and replacing it back with a corrupt imperialistic ideology, because everything they gave us is a very corrupt ideology. A lot of people will say colonialism gave us like, no, you took our language from us, because it's so difficult to comprehend all this nonsense that they're saying. Now recently, because of this series of corrupt practices, that the transitional government of Mali, because that's what they're calling it, they said the junta. I mean, I don't get where all this is coming from, right? They said they are trying to crack down on political parties and they're trying to dissolve politics, which is not this and that. They said a lot, right? And the reason for canceling all political activities in the country is because these political activities don't do any good for nation development. The essence of politics should be for the people. What is the definition of democracy? But every African listening to me will know that democracy in Africa is rubbish. There is nothing like government of the people. People rig election. I can bet it that there are a lot of presidents in Africa, current presidents, that rigged their way into election. A lot of them. Not like there are not few that did not rig their way into election. They want you to need the help of international society. Nobody needs nobody help here. You call this nation, this continent, the poorest continent in the world. There is fight in Gaza. There's fight going on in Syria. Palestinians are dying. Yemenis, there is suffering in Yemen. Ukrainians are dying. Go there and make a decree to Russia. Go there and tell them how things are supposed to be done there. Go and tell Russia that human rights are being abused. Don't come to Africa where there is peace, but it's a terrorism that you guys sold into Africa. Don't tell us how to govern our people. Matter of fact, I think the military regime is the best. That's what, in fact, a lot of people, a lot of free people, the people that want to be free, the truthful people that are really, really asking for, they are really asking for a military regime. Military is the best. Based on what we are seeing, it is the best. So now I will say something. If Ibrahim Traore can create so much job in Burkina Faso that under so many useless presidents in the democratic regime did not create. Now it only means something. For Ibrahim Traore to create so much job, it means that during democracy there were a very latent amount of job, very hidden amounts, which I feel like for you to access those jobs, you will have to use connection, maybe your connection with politicians. Every African right now know what I'm talking about. You have to know the person that knows this person who knows this person to get the job. That's how it goes in Africa. And that is where incompetence comes in. You put the wrong people in critical positions, and the resultant effect is going to fall back on the society. A lot of incompetent people are in very very critical positions in Africa because of the corruption. And the next thing we hear these people come out on the media to say is that Africa is the most corrupt continent. You are more corrupt than Africa. So my own advice is that, Malians should stay strong. I mean, the indigenous citizens of Mali, because there's a problem now. The politicians are beginning to protest in Mali. You know why they are protesting? They have paid them. Like, that is it. What are the, like I said, and I will repeat again, what is the benefit of politics? What has it benefited Africa other than, slavery? Because these guys are the ones that even enable modern slavery. Yes, that is my own opinion. You see, stealing gets to a certain point where it becomes a second nature. Stealing, robbery, it gets to a certain, and this whole terrorism talk that they're talking about, terrorism is even more worse during democracy than in the military regime. And when you tell this foreign bases, this foreign military to leave your country, the sleeper cells wake up and the terrorist attack intensifies. These people they've been planning this for a very long time. This is the execution phase. I don't even know what bigger plan, dark plan they have for Africa. In the future, democracy is the worst menace, is the most chaotic plague that ever happened to Africa.